All right. So Chet and I were talking. We regularly have to explain to buyers the pros and cons of selling your house on your own and hiring an agent to list your property and run you through the entire transaction. So today we got some different comparisons on why somebody might want to hire an agent, and if they could, why they might want to attempt selling the house on their own. So let's dig into that. My name is Robert.
My name is Chad.
And this is Intellectually, the show where we teach you how to hold us, the professionals in real estate, more accountable. Let's get it going.
I thought you were about to say, my name's Chad.
My name's Chad.
And I was like, I got to say that I'm Robert.
Dude, that'd be cool.
All right, sorry. Let's get into it.
What's that one YouTuber? He says like, what's up, guys? But sometimes I think it's like Graham or something. He's an investor, podcaster, or not a YouTuber, and sometimes he'll be like, "What's up, Graham? It's guys here." Just throw you off, get you thinking, get you more tuned in. So my name's Chad.
My name is Robert.
Yeah, that's good practice, right? Are you guys all thrown off? You're like, this whole time, episode 17, and I thought he was Chad and he was Robert.
18.
Is it?
She is correct.
Oh,
She's correct.
What in the heck?
18. 18 of these.
That's why I handle the tech work.
Yeah.
Behind
Or
the
handle,
scenes.
you probably should have handled everything because I can't even get numbered it. But either way, yeah, we promised you guys that we were going to dig in to the pros and cons and just kind of a better understanding of whether you need us or another professional in our industry or not. So that being said,
Let's
we got a
start
couple
with some stats.
the facts.
The facts.
The facts.
All right. According to NAR's 2025 profile of home buyers and sellers. So we got 6 stats here that I think are key for what we're talking about today.
All right, what are we thinking?
All right. Number 1, 5% of all home sales in 2025 were accounted for sale by owner sellers. So only
Okay.
5%.
Okay, so
home
out of
sales.
the average 100 sellers, 5 of them are FSBO.
Correct.
Yep. For sale by owner, FSBO.
This is down from going back to 1985, down from 21%.
Mm-hmm.
It was 10% in 2021.
Yep.
And then down to 6% in 2024. And now in 2025, we sat at a whopping 5%.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay. I mean, that explains it, right? Do you want to read through all the facts, or we just kind of run through?
Well, I'll do 4 more, and then we'll go through. There's a lot of facts.
There's a
lot of facts.
All right, deliver them, fact man.
In 2025, 91% of sellers use a real estate agent, which is a record high for the NAR.
Wait, read it one more time.
91% of sellers used a real estate agent. That's just sellers,
Okay.
according to NAR.
We're gonna have to readdress the first fact because the math's not adding up. But keep going.
No,
Yeah. I like it.
It is because you also haven't factored in the 4% of other means, that flat fee MLS listings, services, whatever the case may be. So 4% of that.
Good clarity.
Yeah,
I like it.
I was confused too at first.
Yeah.
I had to
No, thank
clarify.
you for the clarity. Yeah.
Yes.
Keep going.
And then also, I think one thing to consider too as well, it says 91% of sellers versus the 5% of all home sales, included FSBO.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But regardless.
Maybe. Keep going. We'll address them. We
Correct.
gotta make it through these facts. Fact man is not.
These last 2 are the ones that I thought were the most interesting. Is roughly 60% of all FSBO sellers already knew their buyer before listing.
I actually don't think that's interesting, and I'll dig into that. I'll let you get through.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I
For
guess it's
us-
interesting, but it's not surprising.
No, it's not surprising, but as far as to the topic of this conversation, interesting.
Yep.
And then last one, again, another interesting where you and I both agree that this is not an interesting fact, but for the topic, that 75% of FSBO sellers still ended up paying a buyer's agent commission.
You think that's surprising or just
Not-
interesting? 75%.
For your
I'm actually
average
thinking that's low.
for your average home buyer, home seller that is not in the industry as you or I myself, I would say that 75. I would not have assumed or thought that nearly 75.
Oh, I think that's
of
low.
them.
But yeah. Keep going though. Yeah.
I-
Was that the last one?
And that's the last one.
Because you're always reading the facts in these podcasts. One, because I'm probably just too unprepared and lazy, and two, because you're incredibly intelligent. Can we, from now on, are we able to patent or pay for part of the patent of the Batman theme song, but it's like Fact Man, and you put on like a
Chad's the fact man.
The Fact
Man. Fact Man,
Research
and then
man.
Chad like busts in, and I like shine. Is there a symbol for fact?
Like maybe a little exclamation mark or something.
Will that be? Isn't that like already a Batman bad guy, like the Riddler or something? No, that's question mark.
All right. I don't like Batman.
You don't like Batman?
So, going back to our
Let's just-
statistics,
let's just
I'll
make
run
that
through 'em.
fact.
5% of all home sales in 2025 were FSBO. Only 5%.
5%. All right, we'll change the subject.
That
I'll
is
let that slide.
down from 21% nearly, 40 years ago, down from 10% 5 years ago, and down from 1% last year. Excuse me, you're throwing me off with the
No, I'm
stupid
not. Did you
Batman.
watch the Christopher Nolan movies, or you probably watched the George Clooney?
I know you guys don't care much about our personal lives, but he asks me at least once a day if I've seen a movie, and every single time I tell him no and tell him I am not a movie person.
There's demons you're hiding. But anyways, yeah,
Every day.
5% makes sense on the retrospect that it is hard for sale by owner individual to sell their property.
And actually, let me clarify that statistic because I was reading it from two different sources, and one of them clarified it much more. It was 5% of all home sales in 2025 did not use an agent for any assistance within the transaction.
You mean 9% or no 5%?
5%.
And then the 9% was also acknowledging that some individuals purchased MLS services, local. MLS.
The other 4% was they had other means to do so, which again could be a flat fee MLS listing. I
Makes
guess
sense.
technically, would you consider a transaction broker agreement? No, because you're
not agent. Yeah, you don't have bias representation by an agency.
Right.
So yeah,
that would be
transaction
considering
broker.
the other means.
And this is, I'm assuming these facts are residential.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, it makes perfect sense. I see these for sale by owners. The biggest battle that a for sale by owner is going to have to face is their own bias. Getting a third party such as an agent involved can bring upon like a sense of reality. Hey, here's some facts, here's some comparables in the area, and this is just the harsh reality of your property, even though it's more valuable to you because you've seen the ins and outs and you have that that passion for it, which can increase the value sometimes 20% above market value. These individuals post it on the market, get discouraged thinking their property's not selling, and then they will either hire an agent, that agent brings a harsh reality, or they'll leave the market and never sell their property, right? So it's not surprising to see this only 5%. The other three areas that I could see discouraging a lot of these for sale by owners to leave the market without concluding a transaction and or switching over to an agent is regularly individuals that are looking and hunting for a deal or connivingly trying to manipulate a deal only in their favor and against the favor of the seller. They're going to predominantly go for sale by owner. You're just more likely to find an individual that's not as experienced, right? Not saying that for sale by owners aren't experienced, but it's just statistically more likely that you're going to find a less experienced individual, thus a little bit easier to manipulate those higher quality deals, right? That are in the buyer's favor versus the seller's favor. So I've had plenty of sellers that have come to us after they've done for sale by owner, and they're like, man, I don't know how you juggle all of these people reaching out and then not even being legit. And the answer to that is agents don't have to juggle as much when you take a professional representation. we don't have to juggle as much illegitimate buyers, because when you take a professional representation, it kind of puts a competency barrier in front of you. So these individuals are less motivated to reach out trying to strike a deal because they're less successful, right? And on top of that, if you have people that are trying to manipulate and scam a deal, they're definitely not going to go for an agent, particularly because those agents are bound by license law and fair housing and different code of ethics that force them to oblige by certain transactional measures.
Keep going.
What? Am I losing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you think?
No, you just encompassed everything.
Oh, did I?
Yes.
I love it.
All right, so we're going to slow down.
And that's our podcast.
Love it. Tell me when to stop.
It was a beautiful analysis,
Yeah.
of course, on one of Rob's wonderful tangents. But we'll break it down a little bit. I think let's start. Obviously, we got these stats from 2025 on the actual objective facts.
Yeah, very true.
FSBO sales and agent assistant sales. 91% of sellers used an agent, and only 5% of home sales whatsoever, or that out of all 5%, or out of all home sales, 5% only used no agent assistance. So 5% of those did not have any agents involved.
Well, the big thing that I was trying to point out is a lot of individuals thinking about that fact are going to be like, but I see so many more for sale by owners. And I was just trying to elaborate on the reason why you're seeing all these for sale by owners. They're not transacting, though. They're sitting on the market, and they're either leaving, hiring an agent, or I guess, those or going.
I mean, I would be surprised too to even have the idea behind the fact that people are seeing more for sale by owners, even behind the statistic too, behind some of these stats. Not only are for sale by owner home sales going down, but they're already, they mentioned in there that 60% of them don't even technically go to the market because they already know the individual who's going to purchase their house.
Yeah.
So that's skewed as well. So it is just a very interesting.
Well, so that the big reason that I was thinking like why they already know their buyer is, one, a house is always a product on advertisement. It's always displayed. But two, we're getting a lot more embedded in softwares and CRM based organization, right? CRMs is a huge software that took off between 2020 and 2025. And that's just making it so much easier for obviously agents that have buyers, but even the other end, wholesalers and those companies that just say, we'll buy your house in any condition. All these things are a lot more vampant, I would argue, these days with the means of technology that we've developed. So it's not surprising to see that they already have a buyer. You know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
technology is lining these buyers up. And I will say, when I went on my tangent, to be completely honest, you were looking something up, and I was trying to talk while you were looking.
I was looking something up because he kept going.
Oh, I mean,
no,
I thought that you were trying to look something up, so I was like,
no, I actually did. There was some information I was curious about. All right, so we'll get back specifically. So according to 2025, another interesting stat is the difference in median home price between the sale of a for sale by owner sale and an agent assistant sale.
I feel like this is the fact everybody wants to know.
This
get
is the
elaboration
fact
on.
that, again, this is important, and we'll get into the reasons why.
Well, I mean, before you even read it, what's the question when we ask a for sale by owner, if we're talking to them, why are you not hiring an agent? What's the question every single one of them will answer with?
They want to save money, and
they want to save money, right?
We'll get into that too as well.
But
So
it's a reality.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So the median sale price of an agent assistant sale in 2025 was $425,000, and the median FSBO sale in 2025 was $360,000, which is a
Okay.
$65,000 difference, or a 12 to 13% difference. So they're saying on average, FSBOs technically do sell for 12 to 13% less.
I'm surprised. So we could shred that in a way if you think about it.
Absolutely.
Just do the fact.
Absolutely.
Well, is it for a 3-bed like 2-bath?
That's why I don't love this stat because it is encompassing.
And that's what you were saying earlier. Like, I'm not a big fan of this stat.
Yes.
Shred it.
Yeah, I agree.
Do it. Shred it. What's your opinion on why that stat doesn't hold?
Well, you have, again, I do feel that, you going back to that 60%, a lot of these deals are being pre-negotiated too.
Touche.
You know,
and when you pre-negotiate, if somebody's coming to you and saying, I'll buy your house, usually those companies are lowballing, or the buyer themselves are motivating a seller that wasn't even thinking about it. And usually when you have a motivated seller before you find a buyer, they're going to want more money and they're going to be more likely to negotiate higher. So you're right. That's a beautiful reality to say, like, a lot of these sales are predetermined and they're going to be less.
correct.
Yeah. What else? I guess I'll stimulate a thought. When you get to that $500,000 range, I would argue, a little bit more motivated to hire an agent. Is that a realistic opinion?
Well,
it's not a fact.
And let me find it specifically, but there was details in the report that stated that it is the lower valued properties that do see the highest.
FSBO.
They said the lower valued property. They didn't know exactly what specific metric they put on it, but accounted for almost 15%.
Yeah.
Of all FSBO sales.
And that doesn't surprise me, because you got like this individual, when you're talking $100,000 property, you're trying to make your dollars count, right? And most flippers, right, are going to do FSBO because they're trying to make their money count. They've been in the industry a lot longer, so they understand how to negotiate.
Don't
Yeah.
keep going with that because we're about to have again.
Sorry.
So, which brings us to the next topic, which I would like to discuss is, and this is a survey done as well. This is a survey done that says the reasons why people sell FSBO, and this is ranked.
Keep the mic.
The number one reason that people decide that they want to sell FSBO is to save money.
Yep.
Number 2 is to save time.
Which is hilarious.
Number 3 is they are confident they can sell without an agent. So that's just a pride
They're
thing.
confident they can sell without an agent. Like, even so, is kind of redundant.
I agree.
Just due to the fact that you're like, well,
That's
if
a
you're
pride
confident,
thing.
that's the first
yeah.
two still play.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Number 4 is they already know the potential buyer. Number
Yep.
5 is this one was funny. They knew the home better than the agent.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. And then the last one was a negative experience with an agent.
Okay. Yeah, that's not surprising. The whole reason you and I got into this industry was the saturation of incompetent and uncaring agents. You know who you are. Dude, that'd be funny if there was an agent just listening and he was like, that's me, or she. I don't know. But either way, the time and money concept is hilarious, because time is money, right? And to save time by working with an agent doesn't make much sense to me. But I guess maybe they feel like they can. I don't know. That one, I'd like to dig into a couple FSBOs that have since hired us to list their property to see what their reasoning behind that time versus money. Maybe I'll follow up with you guys in the comments.
Let's start with one of those, because
Yeah.
we can go. I would say those are both the two most important reasons
Interesting,
why you
yeah.
should. I would argue go with an agent. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Those are the
Elaborate.
two. Well, I think it's oversimplified the complexity of putting a house on the market, scheduling showings, managing all of the
Interested buyers,
buyers
prospective
and
buyers, yeah.
agents, and everyone who is interested in your property in some way, not just to buy it, but for any way, calling you again. And then you have to organize showings, then you have to organize negotiations, you have to make sure all the contracts are proper and everything makes sense. And I feel that this process is in some ways oversimplified, where
Even you saying what you're saying sounds like, if I wasn't an agent, I'd be like, I could do that. You know what I mean? You're right.
And it's not complicated, but again, when you have a house that's on the market for a month per se, or not even a month, let's just say a week, right? And it's in a hot area. How many showings, on a very aggressively priced home, in a extremely hot area, right? On the first weekend, I mean, you're talking easily 10 to 15.
Well, the detail of aggressively priced is a fun one because you could sell anything for a certain price, plain and simple, right? In that regard, one of the main things that I always teach our guys, we always teach our guys is, hey, if your seller wants to price at something that you would argue is less aggressive, sorry, I had hair in my mouth. If you want to list your property at a higher price with the expectations that you're going to attract less buyers, don't just you do your due diligence and then come to them and be like, as anticipated, we didn't get the buyer we wanted. Let's bring the price down. Basically, the objective is not only trying to sell or find an eligible buyer, but prove to your seller, your client, that a buyer didn't come, and factually there's no chance that a buyer would have come because we've done everything we could within the time frame that we had. Now, would you like to keep it at this price with these facts at hand, or would you like to bring it down? Because in the end, I know aggressively they always say it always comes down to price. Not always, but if you got a good, competent agent that can explain their reasoning and their strategies behind it and then execute organically in the listing of your property, then it does come down to price, and that's a harsh reality.
And the interesting part about it is they're missing out on potential deals that may fit for them. I mean, there's a lot of different methods now of financing. You know, we talk about, again, seller financing or these new types of, again, just financing options that are being very creative and being created in the market. A FSBO seller might look at that and not truly understand what's looking at and realize that they're missing an opportunity.
Agreed.
Right.
I do to clarify. I do always say when it comes to seller financing and things like that, if you're planning to be rid of the property, seller financing makes you a landlord. It doesn't.
Absolutely.
Well, or at least in a way, a contract holder, right? So you're not getting rid of the property.
The liabilities are gone.
Yeah. So you still got risk in the game.
But
I get you.
it does make
I get
it
you.
does
The
make sense
education
for some people, and like I said, if you don't know what you're doing, you would just automatically assume someone might be trying to scam
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean?
Well, I was talking, my buddy, he lives in a state where I am not licensed. And he's like, what should I do? Should I get an agent? And I was like, well, in reality, if I were you, my simple advice would be to utilize my knowledge over the phone, any contracts and stuff, and I can let you know the next procedures and walk you through it. And then you can save your buyer's agent money and negotiate the listing price down from that. If you're interested in what I meant there and it's confusing, reach out to us personally. I can explain that to you. But I also said there's huge value in peace of mind, right? And that's the biggest point that we're kind of not contributing yet, is even though you can handle all this stuff, peace of mind is a tremendous thing that can kind of help you sleep at night, making so at least you're like, the process was done and there's not something missing that I'm accountable to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I always bring up, and then I'll let you keep going. When you go to the doctor's office and you pay a $50 copay, and you go in and the doctor's like, oh, he's just got a tummy ache, right? Go home, take a nap. Are you going to be like, give me my $50 back unless you cut me open right now? You know, I want you to do something. No, nobody's going to say that. They're going to be like, okay, I paid this $50. I got the reasoning and we're good. Sometimes you might pay more because they're like, I want to do an x-ray. I want to do something else with an acronym that I can't think of right now. But either way, you're going to be okay paying for that. And it's all because you're getting that peace of mind from the professional. And that's like, I guess, like the reality that a FSBO will find in an agent other than this traditional work that we take over for them conveniently. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things that we, pitch to our potential clients. You know what I mean? It's like you're not only hiring us to get the best price, but you're paying for our convenience.
Yeah.
You're paying to just be given the objective facts that you need to make the decision while we are essentially doing all the work.
No, I
behind
get
the
you.
scenes.
And I always tell when I got a buyer or a seller that's looking to list their property, they always ask one question, and it contributes the acknowledgement of 1/3 of my broker's brokerage's job, right? My agency's job. And they're like, how do you plan to market this property? And I find that hilarious because if your determiner to hire me is solely based on how I'm going to market it, you're going to lose a lot of money and you're going to lose a lot of investigation points when it comes to qualifying me as the actual proper agent. An agent isn't an advertiser. An agent is a counselor, negotiator, and counselor, negotiator, and coordinator, right? So we coordinate proactively the entire transaction process from beginning to end, and that includes marketing, the proper procedures for marketing. And then we negotiate in your favor knowledgeably what to do, what to not do, and make sure you don't get bullied by a professional that knows the industry better than you. Kind of like you do what you do best so you could pay us to do what we do best, right? We negotiate for you. And then the final thing is counseling. One of the things Chad and I always say is like, we find these buyers and sellers and we're like, hey, okay, so the bad experience you had in the past before you hired us, why did you decide to do this? And they don't know. And I would argue that's the agent dropped the ball that represented them in counseling them. So those three things I would argue bring true value to hiring an agent versus trying to do it on your own, right?
Yeah, and I mean, lastly, really too, at the end of the day, you have to understand selling your home. It's the business. You got to be a part of the business, and being emotionally attached to the product that you're selling can be detrimental, and it can force you to make illogical decisions based off of that emotional attachment.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like us, we come in, we have no emotional attachment to the home. All our main goal is to make sure that your goals are met, and we essentially get what you want reasonably done. And we do that efficiently, and we do that exceptional.
So like encompassing this idea, we go back to the understanding behind properties that that are represented by agents sell at this price, and for sale by owner properties sell at this price. I think that's flawed. I think it's a biased reasoning that gives us a level that we don't deserve, because once again, sellers that have more expensive properties are maybe a little bit more inclined to hire an agent. The cheaper the property gets, the more valuable each dollar is, right?
Well, Robert,
Yeah.
of course the home sale price is going to be higher because they're paying agent commissions.
Yeah. But I don't think that's acknowledged in the actual market practice.
No,
right?
but even still, because I can see that being an argument that a FSBO makes.
I thought that would be an argument as well, and I've never had an acknowledgement of that mentally.
That's actually true. I don't think I have.
And here's the simple reality of that, right? A FSBO, a person selling their house on their own, when you ask them how they conclude the price, they're always going to say, well, it was what the market has it listed for. And you're like, well, just so you know, what the market has it listed for is considering a 3 to 6% agency compensation fee, which brings it to that price and that level. So since you're selling it for sale by owner, are you going to drop it 3 to 4%? Of course, that's going to be a question they'd never even thought of. So, and then to another point, I have a good friend back home, the one I was talking about. When I was talking to him about a buyer's agent representing him, I was like, yeah, no, I advise that you hire a buyer's agent for that peace of mind. And I was like, you just have somebody that proactively understands it, and they can do the process so you can do what you do best and pay them to do what they do best. And he goes, well, I'm not even paying them. The seller's paying them. And I'm like, no, that's wrong, right? Because
just to interrupt you, I had a very similar conversation with my buddy, the one I was telling, who just bought a condo, and I was like, how much you paying your buyer's agent and commission?
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not the seller. I was like, dude.
Well, no,
hold on for a second.
It's a reality. Yeah, it's a reality check, right? If I didn't have my license, if I just let it go and I wanted to pursue a different career, I'm never ever going to have an agent represent me. I have way too much knowledge in the situation, and it comes to it. And I'll explain this reasoning in a second. But I would avoid the agent representation, find the property I want, get negotiations going, and then I go to that seller and be like, hey, harsh reality check. You have this negotiation with your seller or the owner of the property that you guys are going to pay a certain amount of buyer's agent commission. I want that amount off, right? If it's a $300,000 property, I'm going to anticipate at least $9,000 less in my negotiation practices because I'm anticipating that the buyer's agent would request somewhere around a 3% on average, something like that. You know, not saying that's the price, but I'm saying that's going to be the reality when I'm going in there to negotiate. So those of you that aren't taking agents to represent you as a buyer, don't lose out on money, right? That's one negotiation. And just also recognize that you are inevitably paying a buyer's agent. So use and interview that individual. Which brings me to kind of the conclusion of what I said, right? Counseling, coordinating, and negotiating. All those, like it or not, are conveniences, right? The needs and necessities are food and water in my eyes. Everything else you need to identify as, you know, these are convenience costs. And am I going to pay this individual to take these inconveniences off my back? And can I justify it by I need to exert my time elsewhere, right? Which why we probably both laughed when we said they save time. You're like, okay, you must have had an awful agent if they took, if they added time to your problems to your time. I don't know, like, but it is a harsh reality. And if you guys like, I'm all for it. If you guys want to reach out to us and be like, hey, I don't want to hire you guys, but I have an agent that I'm about to hire. Do you guys mind giving me some questions and ideas to vet this individual with? Oh, heck yeah. Because once again, our objective is to bring the professional standard back that's since been saturated since 2020, right? Or 2019, or even earlier. But that's kind of the mentality. You're hiring an agent for convenience. Pay them to do what they do best so you can continue to do what you do best, right? Kind of
but it's
reality.
a good agent. It's an exceptional convenience, though.
Oh,
You know, not only do they save you
absolutely.
time and the peace of mind, but a killer agent will actually put more money in your pocket.
Yes. And they will put more money in your pocket that you were likely going to miss. And I like it or not, there's so many sellers that are just like, I don't want you for this, this, and this. I'd like to hire you just as a transaction broker. Personally, I'm not a big fan of being a transaction broker, right? Because my objective is to build a resume and a referral base, right? And I'm like, if I come in here and be a transaction broker, I might put a bad taste in your mouth because I'm just going to sit there robotically identifying opportunities and leave the rest up to you. And it's going to make me look bad no matter how the expectations were set. And in that reality, I've turned down a couple transaction broker agreements just due to the fact that I'm like, I'm going to need to get involved. I'm going to have to because I'm here to counsel you, right? I'm here to negotiate. I want to dominate this thing in your favor,
Put your
right?
name on something.
Yeah.
You better, and I actually quite literally watch him tell this to potential clients that you know you're looking. He's like, I don't. If I'm going to put my name on it, you're not allowed to do anything because I know I'm going to do it better than you. But
So-
in a good way, though.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not, that was a
aggressive.
very
Yeah.
aggressive, abrasive way that I
was
said
aggressive,
it, but
yeah.
I-
But I get what you're saying, and I think there's an appreciation for the passion that you exerted there. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to hire somebody that didn't feel like they were going to do it better than me,
Yeah,
right?
why would you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why would you, right?
Like, you're hiring someone to negotiate on your behalf of your best interest.
Yeah.
If you're just succumbing to a small transaction fee,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I just want to get paid. Like, then what are we doing?
True. I'm not here for the transactions. I'm here for the growth.
You didn't
the
do
resume,
a very
right?
good job negotiating
Yeah.
your services.
And I feel like this is where a lot of these 5% and even up to 9% FSBOs or motivated for sale by owners are thinking because they're just like, what is an agent doing for me? Like, I can do all the advertising, but you don't really understand everything that goes into the agency. But then also, you don't understand, like, once you get in there and start doing it all, where are you taking your time from? You know, what could you be actually executing your time towards? Whether it's happiness, mental health, physical physical relationships in general, good hug, you know, missing out on a good physical hug. But what are you taking away from your life to try and quote unquote save this money? And in reality, I can't think of a transaction where I reflect on the entire basis of my execution for the client, where I wouldn't have made the client more money than they would have saved avoiding paying me, if that makes sense, right? But in reality, let's encompass 3 points here. Agents are more hired for convenience, like it or not. I don't care if an agent's getting all upset about that. We're first world convenience, right? The second thing is buyer's agents, you are paying them, right? You're absolutely paying a buyer's agent, no matter how or somebody's educated you. Hey, the seller's paying for it. No, the seller's not paying for it. The seller is taking money from you and giving it to your buyer's agent.
Well,
right.
And that's what and this always gets me is when a FSBO will be like, you'll be on the phone and it'll be a cold call trying to, get to know the FSBO, see if there's an opportunity, and they'll be like, I'm not interested, but if you bring me a buyer,
I'll compensate you. Yeah. And what was the percentage again? 74 or 75?
75. Yeah. And I'm also like I'm understanding like you're going to pay them to bring you one buyer. Why not pay me to bring you 20 buyers?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I could see the argument against it, but I could also see the argument for it. And we've talked about this, and I agree with you. But just to make it clear, in case somebody jumps in late, 75% of for sale by owners end up paying a buyer's agent commission. Was that 75 we were talking about? But I get what you're saying. Sorry to cut you off.
But like my sole job as a listing agent is to bring you as many qualified buyers as possible.
That's in the contract. That's the listing agreement.
Right.
Bring you full, ready,
so
qualified buyer.
Why would you not pay me to bring you out as many as you can rather, and you're paying a buyer's agent just to bring you one?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just,
it's almost like an open buyer, but it's also just like, once again, we go back to the idea, like the advertisement is a third of the process, right? The negotiation and the coordinating is also encompassing the mentality. And I make my clients a lot of money through negotiations.
And you're working for the seller when, again,
and
going back to
that's
paying the
idea.
buyer's agent.
You're paying somebody to
them
represent
against you.
And we had, I think they were out in Washington. They're like, yeah, when we bought this, the listing agent represented us. And, you saw my eyebrows raise. And then I didn't even have to say anything because after that, and she's like, and the experience was awful. I felt like she was biased against us and she only cared about her buyer's motivation and all that. Or she only cared about her lister's motivation and all that stuff.
And
I'm like, well,
even crazier, she was like, yeah, the agent was like her sister.
Yeah.
Of the home seller.
Yeah.
So she was like, I used the listing agent of the home seller who was also the seller's sister.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Well, not even that. Let's not even recognize the bias that's arguably against license law.
It is. Absolutely. But you know what I mean?
There was something that we did educate her, and we're like, actually, that agent sounds to me like they did everything according to license law because they were the listing agent and they assisted you with the paperwork, but they weren't a transaction broker. They were a listing agent.
I must have misinterpreted that.
Well, but now you know what I mean. That agent was like, I got to represent my client. And it's the same idea as for sale by owners. So like, I'll give you commission. You're like, cool. But the commission you give me, just so you know, I'm biased against you and for my client. So when it comes to negotiations, I'm going to negotiate in their favor. When it comes to my opinion and everything, I'm going to avoid my opinion on your side, but I'm definitely going to acknowledge my opinions and understandings with my clients. So you're right. You're paying somebody to represent against you when you offer a buyer's agent commission as a for sale by owner. What time do we have?
38.
38. Okay. 18 minutes. Do you know what that's from? You just watched that movie. It was that movie with, who's the skinny guy from Superbad?
Pull a Chad here. I don't think I've ever seen that.
He's seen the movie. But either way, he like comes out with the bomb. He's like, how much time is it? And he's like, 18 minutes. And he says that like that. 18 minutes. I forget his name. We'll throw a picture up. Boom! There's the picture right there. We just posted it. Which camera is it on when I said that? Yeah. Okay. Anyways. Next fact.
Oh my gosh, we have more facts?
Or no, I guess did we get through them all?
I'm pretty sure that's it.
I love it. I love it. So kind of encompassing the idea, and then we'll close it down here. High hiring a listing agent versus selling your house on your own. Look at us more as a convenient, and you're going to understand where your money's going more. When you're qualifying a listing agent, understand they're not just an advertiser. They're a coordinator, counselor, and negotiator, right? And then finally, understand that these mentalities of selling your house as a for sale by owner is going to bring a lot more time off, take more time away from your hands. And it's going to add more chaos because you will unfortunately be targeted by individuals that think you are, even though you're not, less competent in the game. Right. So it's just, unfortunately in this certain commerce that we have right now, it's going to be chaotic. Not advising against it. It's just going to be a little chaotic. You might be able to make the same amount of money by hiring an agent and or make more money. But I always conclude the conveniences really prove that you're going to get more in your return if you properly qualify the agent, if you hire them through time, money, and all of that. So that's kind of my closing idea. What are your thoughts?
Closed and shut.
All right, guys, this was Intellectually. I'm Chad.
I'm Bob.
Bob. Oh, please. Not Bob.
He hates that.
I hate it. Bob's are always defeated Roberts. So let's keep it with the Robert, So, but cool. You guys have a wonderful day or time, whatever you're experiencing this podcast on. We'll see you.
See?